Hello viewers and welcome to this video of my pyramid city in City Skylines. In this video I will talk about pyramid cities, the purpose of a pyramid city, building a pyramid city, and then we'll go ahead and explore this specific creation that I made. So a pyramid city, or basically any large structure intended to house a whole city's worth of residents in a single structure. The idea is kind of like a Titanic strategy, but except where the Titanic sank. Pyramid cities, or it doesn't have to be a pyramid, it could be a Borg cube, or just basically any structure that makes engineering sense. But the idea of housing a whole lot of people in a single building has been successful. When you compare major developed cities around the world and the mass evacuations that happen every time there's a disaster in the United States. Every time there's a disaster, like Florida has to be evacuated every week. Why? Because people mostly live in wooden houses. The infrastructure is not good. It can't handle flooding. Wooden houses can't handle hurricanes that well, and so there are mass evacuations. Whereas if you compare that to major cities around the world that also experience natural disasters like hurricanes, typhoons, flooding, earthquake, but because it's impractical to evacuate millions of people, so instead they build their skyscrapers to be basically indestructible, of course, with few exceptions, but mostly indestructible. So if you can build a skyscraper that is indestructible, why not build a single structure that has more volume than several skyscrapers combined? And you can share a single outer shell between millions of residents. So not only do pyramid cities not only do they improve survivability and reduce costs of rebuilding, repairing, insurance claims, they also improve efficiency, because if you're living in a three-dimensional space, you get access to many more homes and businesses in the same distance that you would get on a two-dimensional plane. So, for example, let's say that there are 100 businesses within 2 miles driving distance of my house. Now, that could be contained in a single skyscraper. So, instead of getting in a car, dealing with traffic, accidents, congestion, you just wait for a lift, a literal lift, not a Uber, but you could wait for a lift, and then it'll get you straight where you want to go. So, as you might have noticed, this pyramid city probably isn't what a real pyramid city would look like. And the reason is because this is just made to sort of look like a pyramid. So I'm using some pedestrian paths to make out a pyramid shape, but you can't really simulate a pyramid city in City Skylines without heavy modding that are beyond my powers, because City Skylines is a two-dimensional game with some third dimension features. So I can lift some components up and down, but you can't stack buildings. That's pretty crucial for a pyramid city to demonstrate its worth. You can do that. So what I've done here instead is in order to simulate the pyramid city, I've designated a whole bunch of high density zones. I'm using the population balance mod, so each skyscraper actually can house about maybe 30 households, so that's a whole lot of population. And then on the top here, just for fun, it's not it doesn't, just so it look more like a pyramid, I add a isolated community, so the only access it has to the city below is a pedestrian footbridge that is actually being used. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna show you around this here city I made, and one thing I'm going to do is I want to show off some intersections made using the intersection marking tool and node control. So these two I think are either separate mods or part of the same mod, but they are extremely useful tools that allow marking lanes at the correct place, with the correct color, or the correct type of lane marking. So for example, right here we have a left exit, and I've marked the center line, so the line I'm left here, in yellow, which is the center line color in the United States. No, I haven't done that for the rest of the roads because I haven't figured out a way to do it quickly yet, but this is just an example of something you can achieve using the intersection marking tool. Now the node controller helps you build freeway on and off ramps on slopes. So I've sort of used that. You can't really tell here, but this this merge area, it's not entirely level with the environment. So I use the node controller to help rotate the intersection a bit, and so we can achieve, we can finally have freeways and mountains without them looking all terrible. The third thing I like are these shark teeth, which basically yield signs. So I still haven't figured out how to use flops, how to like plop down a yield sign. So, but this satisfies my need for yield signs. So I'm really care here when I plop down and flop. So a purpose of this design is to show a potential way to organize a pyramid city or a board cube or any sort of megastructure city in a way that can be made, off the shelf design. So over here we have, as usual, with most of my city Skylines builds, I have a north-south freeway and an east and west freeway. So the north and south freeway runs along the eastern edges of the pyramid. So it runs right here on the right to bypass the city, and then the east and west freeway runs along the northern edge. And then both of these freeways maintain their mainline status through the entire freeway, so you don't so for example, the east-west freeway is going to need a ramp to merge onto the other freeway and you can get to the other side. But there are some ramps to allow vehicles to change freeways if they need. And on the other corners we just have normal, slightly tweaked freeway interchanges. So this the roads on the southeast corner of this pyramid. Sorry, that's east. Got that all messed up. So this is north and south, east and west. Anyway, the roads on the northwest corner of the freeway are basically in the same style as the typical airport road. So they will facilitate going from the highway on the west to the highway on the north. So we have this ramp here, and on the left here we have a bypass goes through here, merges back home, exits left, and this here, and serves a connection purpose. But other than that, the design is really designed to maximize the amount of traffic in and out of the city while minimizing the amount of through traffic that should just be using any other ramps. So it's sort of like a airport road system. I've tried my best to eliminate the bottlenecks and conflict points, although obviously we have them here. But I think I've mostly done a okay job. So we are using traffic manager. Turns out the lane markings, they don't appear to absolutely follow the lane markings here. But that's normal traffic behavior. And there's just tons and tons of people migrating on the bus stations. So we have two sets of roads for outside access and bus stations. So one next to this road and the other one connects to this road. So exiting, you can exit in all any direction. But entering, if you enter from the west, then you basically have to use this bus station and this ramp. And if you exit, you can exit, turn left here. And that'll give us a sort of a spaghetti junction. It will feed you back to the westbound ramps. Although this side also allows heading southbound, or you can continue straight and head northbound or east. So the same goes for this upper bus station here. Provides the same access. So in order to maximize throughput, there are some things I did. Of course, one thing is absolutely no traffic lights. So here everything is controlled by yield signs. Although the AI doesn't seem to know that, but yeah, it's controlled by yield signs. You're supposed to follow this staking your side of the lane and yield to traffic limits. So I guess probably in real life, there will be a stop sign here pretty soon, or a traffic light here pretty soon, because people just can't figure it out. But since there are no collisions in city skylines, only slowdowns, it's really good. And it also, it's not terribly complicated to turn right on a multi-lane road. You just have to clear one direction. So another part of not having traffic lights and reducing bottlenecks is the lots of pedestrian bridges. So absolutely no pedestrian crossings. So ideally, you would just have a full second level pedestrian road work, so that you can go from where you are to where you want to go, only climbing and descending stairs once. And that is how pedestrian paths work in good cities. Because having to climb stairs, like cars that can go in, having to climb stairs is a major deterrent to walking. Although not to the AI, to real life. So in real life, you'd want a more extensive footpath. So the ground level roads are almost entirely one-way lanes. So there are some exceptions, like right here, we have a road that allows doing a U-turn. So if you wanted to eliminate bottlenecks, you could just use two roads. But this works. And as you can see here, if you're doing a U-turn, you're taking the left three lanes, and then you can yield to the traffic inside the road before turning. And after you turn, you have right. And if you're going straight, you shouldn't need to yield to it. So I have realistic parking player bonds, like Sims on pocket clones, so that's why the roads on the top of the pyramid are so empty. So basically only taxis, there are a few private cars, I don't know where they came from, but in general there are only a few taxis and a garbage truck. And this is the only place I'm comfortable putting at grade intersections because I really hate seeing pedestrians cut through vehicles. Crash. I just don't like it. So this is the only place where there are lots of pedestrian crossings. And as you can see here, I've given the roads the full yellow signal-light treatment. Oh, I thought it turned off. Fine. It doesn't move any, but so we have our yellow signal-light here. Two-way yield signs. And this 6-lane road is way overbuilt. But I'm keeping it. So I think the main reason I arranged the airports this way is so that the traffic faces the same direction, because in real life you generally would not, even if you have two runways, you're generally not going to have traffic landing in opposite directions. In real life, you probably also want the two runways to be on the same side, but in order to accommodate this pyramid roof, pyramid tip, I have to put them on two separate sides. And then in real life, you can probably you need a much longer runway, so probably like about 3 or 4 times this length for a actual airliner to land. So you just have the airport next to a pyramid city or bulk cube. I didn't do the game using this, and it doesn't matter. I'm missing things, especially when I'm not doing. You don't follow rigorous method. You're missing things. Oh, and I have traffic jams. Okay, this traffic jam can entirely be resolved by having separate roads. And you could also you could probably just change the lane markings, but reversing the directions on the road without a physical barrier could be confusing for the drivers. Anyways, this is what happens when you don't follow the traffic signals. If these guys yielded, they would not be in this situation. I think this is pretty cool. So this is where the intelligent lane changing really does. I'm gonna disable crimes. Disable death, crime, maximize attractiveness, entertainment, land value, and leisure. I'm gonna let people education themselves, but the other part, maximized or limited. Because it's just not, you can have like 10 this parameters really. I figured I could get away with this, but clearly. One thing I could do is to set up a traffic light here and have them. So this is part of why a divergent diamond intersection is not a great idea, because you're basically doing this to traffic. Of course, in the simulations and in real life, they did prove it has higher throughput, so higher throughput than a traditional diamond intersection. But a dumbbell interchange would be better. So a dumbbell interchange is basically a diamond intersection, but with all the intersections replaced by small roundabouts. Alright, so taking the lessons learned right now. Oh, this ramp is completely unused. So I guess I could leave this as is, and I just have to retrofit this area. So anyway, I'm just gonna do some first-person view, get some first-person view shots as if I can. Very nice. People are walking. A lot of cars. Let's take off. So now let's get some shots of the city itself. And look at all this traffic. I swear this should work much better in real life. But I just need to. One thing I can do is with Traffic Manager, I can designate individual intersections as you can't block the flow of traffic. So if I do this, cars should keep out until the cars should not like park in the middle of the lane. We'll see what effect this has. It looks like things may be smoothing out. I may need to retrofit this in this intersection after. We'll see. Speed this in. You know what? Let's look at some interchanges. So not sure if I mentioned this yet, but I do use a lot of left exits because it's convenient. And also use some left ramps, but I reduce the risk of a left ramp by so for example here we have the bypass road as a left on ramp, but I've made the marking so that we are on the left lane here is supposed to be. Now, of course, traffic won't actually follow this behavior, but also the downsides of the left lane in real life, in terms of visibility out the right, don't really apply in city skylines as well. So over here, I put a yield sign here, and then I also have a this hashed and solid lane marking. So that means that if you are on the left lane, you can merge right, but if you're on the right lane, you can't turn left. So this should mean that the responsibility is on the vehicle in the right lane to yield to the car on the ramp. So in effect, the vehicle on the ramp has right of way. I've also used the same intersection marking scheme. And then I'm using some pretty direct 3-lane to 1-lane merges, which you see a lot of on American roads for some reason. I don't know why, but well, since they use it in real life, I use it here as well. So I'm using the lane markings to block out the right lane. Now the AI doesn't know this, so the AI will still step on the 4 area, even though they're not supposed to. But just like in real life. Oh, right here I have a so this is a slightly different exit than some of the other exits which don't have a lane marking on this area at all. But here I have the tighter spaced dashes, which are sometimes used on, which are always used. No, sometimes used on exit only lanes. And then here's my standard sort of 1-lane to 3-lane split. So this just looks nice, and I think it's necessary. It looks nice. Yeah, this freeway is way overbuilt. No one's using it. But if the traffic jam here trickles out of the pyramid city, then all those extra lanes will come into use. Will be going on factory. I'm just going to note down the things I want to improve, which are the southeastern U-turn road, or median road. Even though it's not exactly median if there are buildings in it. But, you know, if you like urbanism, you should be happy that I am making the traffic so bad. Because then more people walk or take public transport. Well, I don't have trains here, so if you take a bus, you'll still be stuck in this same traffic. So I guess on the subject of music, well, no, probably prompt anarchy or just one of these tools. This is very useful. Mode control, so it allows you to shift the mode of a node from elevated, so right here, to surface right here, and that is useful because it allows you to make more realistic looking highways, since they would rather it looks like when constructing roads they would rather pile dirt on than build necessary bridges. So if I do this, wrong, all of a sudden, now let's smooth this out to really, so that doesn't look this artificial. Probably not smoothing too, but over here. Yeah, my computer's chugging. Alright, so this looks much more realistic in terms of how your road built in this configuration would actually look like. So yeah, I think I've showed off all I can in this city. All of my parts are still the same as my, yeah, most of my parts are still the same as my other cities. These pedestrian bridges, you know, you can figure them out yourself. All very standard. Oh yeah, I have to improve this. So this is on the west side from the north, northern approach. So traffic from north comes down this ramp. So I want to, if I improve that, I'm probably going to change it to something like this. No, I forgot to yellow the left solid line, but it doesn't really matter. The traffic's going to come here, loop around, exit on the right two option lanes. And here is where they get more lanes, but narrower lanes. Yeah, that traffic jam is still building. Oh, the mod name is called Rush Hour, so this is expected. Well, some of them might be struggling to find parking spaces since I don't think I provided that much parking. Even though this is a lot of parking, but not enough. So yeah, the road here is designed so that you can't. The road here is designed to prevent the cars from using the city to turn around to head to the other exit. So if you're going up here and you want to leave, you can either. Well, the ideal way is to go straight. And then you can either turn left to head to this ramp, or go straight to turn around. Or you can do it the hard way and enter the city. And then if, a less smart city planner would have provided a direct connection between this ramp and this road. And if you do that, you get on this road, and then the same less smart city planner would have said, "No, wouldn't it be nice for this road have a direct connection to the exit of the city?" And so you would have a bunch of cars that are just passing through, going through the city, maybe because they took a wrong turn or because the AI messed up, and then basically not going to be good. So that's why you don't do it. Actually, I'm going to show a view from one of the approaching cars. So what this could be considered is a pyramid city construction site. Because I have the dynamic lane change enabled. That was one of the words I was looking for earlier, but because I have dynamic lane change enabled, so our cars are going to make some unnecessary lane changes. But the overall broad result is that cars will change lanes in a way that broadly, on average, reduces congestion. Because I have all this left turn ramp is a bit too deep, so it's enough for like a 8-story, 8 deck bus, which is not a thing. A ramp this steep would probably need a climbing lane just to get trucks out of the way. So you just really see the benefits of multiple lanes when you have the unique driving styles turned on, which means that cars drive at different speeds. And that is why sometimes it'll look like, even if there is a choke point up ahead, road planners will still occasionally provide an extra lane, because the point isn't that that will help relieve the choke point, but it means that you can pass vehicles on the way to the choke point, which means that when you get to the choke point, you won't be choked by the vehicles you passed. So I think because my computer has been slowed, I think City Skylines computes speed in a weird way. So right now, because my computer has been slowed down by so much traffic, 70 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour actually feels like 40 miles an hour. So right now we feel like we're going pretty slow, but when the computer is running at, the start of the game, without all this traffic, 70 kilometers an hour feels like 70 miles an hour. Because I think, there's just some jank in this game. Right here, time to look left, here, the traffic. What is this? So we're not actually... Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, the game's not perfect. Let's just hitchhike upon another... car, and then... So yeah, I think City Skylines needs to work on its shadow rendering. Like, there should be a giant shadow from my cube, and there currently isn't. So cars like these, so including that vehicle in front of us, they look something like the future of transport, but all of these probably are not actually capable of high speeds like 40 miles an hour. But I think the future of transportation is in single seat, high speed pods, so that will achieve the best balance of you're a single occupant, and you're not carrying extra seats, but you're also not limited by the schedule of a route planner, of a bus route planner, or a train or whatever. So it achieves the best of both worlds. You can get the benefits of personal transportation and the benefits of without the environmental costs and other costs. Yeah, I did a pretty good job getting us as close to the front as possible, but Now we're stuck in this traffic. So I guess I should, as well as ending this recording, I could just demonstrate how to relieve this traffic jam. While using intersection marking tool and node controller in the process to make sure it doesn't look bad. Alright, so a way to relieve this traffic jam is to well, we don't even have to add those both sides, but one thing we can do is just add another one of these. That'll actually be the quickest way, but may not be the best. Alright, so I'm going to add this right here. And then we're going to add our yield signs. Oh, yeah, yield signs there as well. Actually, we'll want to change the yield signs a bit because we do not want to jam up. So right here, essentially, we would have a sort of roundabout. And with a roundabout, we really don't want to jam up the route. So that means this side is the yield has to go this way. Alright. So now let's use the intersection marking tool. Right here. Alright, let's delete this. Let's delete this as well. And add a line here. It's going to be solid and dashed. Oriented this way. I'm going to add some yield signs right here. Shark teeth. I mean, they mean yield, right? They probably don't have any other meaning. And that's basically it. I don't want to remove this double line. It's fine. Alright, so we're going to copy this. We're going to paste it on this intersection. Hold on. And then we're going to make sure that it's rotated correctly, since it doesn't actually know how to. I guess this is the correct one. Fancy that. Alright, so if it's oriented this way, it could be confusing for the cars turning in. Not the AI, of course, but humans turning in. If there's a do not cross this lane sign right here. So I should actually change that to a single solid line. There. Now we're going to use this to remove some crosswalks. We're actually going to allow entering the intersection from the inside. So allow not allow and we have to allow blocking the intersection from the inside, but not allow blocking the intersection from the outside of the loop. So this will continue to be the way it is. Now let's copy over this design and paste it right here. Alright, and now we can use our node controller to change the offset to 30. Now this should work and probably will not jam up. Oh, also, you have to change the arrows, since the lane markings actually don't do anything. So you have 4 going straight, 3 going left. Alright, now that we've cut off pedestrians from burp this side, we're going to add another pedestrian bridge right here. We're going to extend this pedestrian bridge. This doesn't look great at all. But it'll work. For convenience, we're going to provide access to this side as well. It's not being used by a business currently anyway. I don't know if I deleted that business or what, but it's not being used. Actually, let's do this first. So actually the best way is to do this step by step. So you end it right next to the road and go around here and here and then forward. And for the other side. Now I'm clearly not and have never been a perfectionist. But, so yeah, they will not be perfectly aligned, but they will work for the most part. Let me just restore this ramp. Alright, let's see how this works. So the thing we want to do is really discourage use of this lane and this lane, because that'll cause a jam very quickly. It could cause a literal gridlock. So one way to do that is to reach into the speed limit and just slow it down. Now these already have a penalty due to greater distance, but slowing it down with the speed limit doesn't hurt. Actually, since the left turn is now a low traffic turn, I should be able to get away with switching the yield sign back to the this side. Because it shouldn't accumulate enough traffic to cause any problems. But we'll see. And the main reason to make the vehicle in the right field is for safety. So I think I'll do that right now. Alright, I've actually find the correct pixel right here. Alright, this seems to be working. I'm just gonna add a the pedestrian bridge right here. Although I should really keep this island clear of businesses. Look, it'll just be a green space. And the main reason you want to do that is to avoid, you don't want any cars to park there if you can avoid it. Right, looks like, wow, congestion is back up all the way here. Good thing I had all these lanes built. You know, let's slow down time. This will prevent the next event from causing massive congestion again. And then we will copy the marking in this intersection and then paste it here, which will cancel all the effort I did making this these markings. All right, there we go. Actually, one thing I can add I do one marking from here to here. And like this. It looks beautiful. And it probably is enough. Although, do this just to avoid any problems. Alright, pretty good. Alright, so a big generator of traffic, I think, is this park here, this playground. We'll move this. Moving to the left probably isn't the best idea, but it's better than cars, going there. And I'm going to keep this intersection completely clear. And then we can probably plant some trees as decoration. Now my PC is still shutting, even after I eliminated that choke point. Lap congestion's worse. So putting too many trees on Mill Island is a really bad idea because visibility is good and helps safety. Alright, what's going on here? If this inner loop jams up, that will not be good. Okay, so given that this, well, the only purpose of this loop, the reverse road, is to provide access to this nuclear power plant, which I should move to the side as well. Look, this is probably what I should have done from the beginning. But I thought I could get away with not doing it. Behold, the pyramid in full daylight. Well, I guess I haven't had a catastrophic traffic jam yet, and This side is pretty much, yeah, we completely cleared, oh not completely, but almost completely cleared up soon. This side, well, it's still jammed every this point, so nothing. You know what? I'll keep recording because it'll be so satisfying when this traffic jam is finally ended. This is pretty ridiculous. They're probably about 30 on the in straight section of road. Where did all these cars come from? When they were leaving this. What? Alright, so this is more like a realistic walking speed. Even though this kind of swaying is not realistic at all. Nope, that was what I was worried about. Although at 30, that's probably more of a nudge than a kill. Your apartment. You know, walking in a first person shooting, I think looks like pretty much like this. Except with a higher frame rate. You know, you have to sprint if you want to go fast in this. Or this is probably the encumbered walking, which makes sense for an old person, I think, which I clicked on. Cross the road. Pretty cool. Alright, let's see how that jam is going. Well, this side is basically all gone. This side is clearing up. Now, having only two U-turns is not that efficient, because it means that cars have to drive a long distance to get where they're going. But it does help with the other objectives of safety and encouraging walking, and mainly those two. Option lanes work in real life because people are smart. They don't work too well here because the AI is not so smart. This should not be a bottleneck at all. Look, should I have gone with a 2-lane exit for this ramp? Probably. But I was lazy. I already did the 1-lane to a 3-lane conversion, and there's another one would do everything. Anyway, this is not a... Oh, it is backing pretty far. But it's not as catastrophic as this was, so... So should I keep recording until all of this backlog has been cleared? No, you can't just... like... 0% of you are probably still watching, but... I'm gonna keep this recording. It's running by FPS. Still 30, so very good. Yeah, this budget fundamental. Budget American. These regional jets are, well, that regional jet is probably the one that's, no, they'll still have, but this runway is, I think it's equal to about a 3,000 feet runway. So it's not nothing. It's certainly like the full length that ape. It's just about enough for a small piston plane to take off on. But with a full regional jet, well, lightly loaded, it'll do it. Let's try following someone down this bridge. The educated senior. Nope. This guy is going to work slash school. Excellent. Since this person is about to turn a corner, I think. Like, for a corner. Well, let's look at what this person is looking at. A little bit here. Terrifying. Well, this looks actually pretty amazing, in my opinion. A barely used highway. Walking above a city. You probably need some fairly strong materials to build this in real life. What's going on there? In far distance, some small cars just flew past a bus. Which, I mean, in real life, buses are pretty, well, not that slow. They can keep up with car traffic for the most part, except on curves and stuff. Tight spaces. Right, what are you looking at? This view is not as good. Oh, this looks nice. So this would be probably slightly trickier to solve. So instead, we're just gonna piggyback on this spot. It's not a pedestrian crossing. Yeah, I disabled. So what was that? Alright, so this is blocking traffic by looking for a parking spot. So now that we're past the initial immigration wave, pretty much no one is going to be using this freeway or highway. Unfortunately. Well, looks like I'm going to be ending this video. If you've watched to this point, thank you for watching. And until next time, stuff happens, I guess.